Yeah, hi friends. In today's current affairs lecture, we'll discuss production linked incentive PLI scheme. Even I think this PLI scheme was announced during Atmanirbhar package, and also in budget finance minister has reiterated like this production linked incentive scheme is going to help for the India's manufacturing sector. It will attract the investor, and this is the one of the major push. So that is what the statements that the finance minister has said. So what is this PLI scheme? What is the importance of this PLI scheme? What was the major shift that the government has brought with this PLI scheme? And these things we will try to discuss in this video. Now, when Union Cabinet has approved this PLI scheme, actually they said like they haven't used it as PLI, but they said India's manufacturing capabilities and enhancing exports and Atmanirbharata. So they used three words. First one is manufacturing capabilities. Second one they used enhancing exports. Third one is Atmanirbhar Bharat. See, these are the three terms used by the Union Cabinet when they are approving this PLI scheme. So anyway, these two things you are aware, but again I will try to explain this. What is Atmanirbhar Bharat? Because if you don't understand clearly Atmanirbhar Bharat, then you will misunderstand this PLI scheme. Atmanirbhar Bharat means in English it is self-sufficient India or self-reliant India. It is self-reliant India. So self-reliant India means India that should not depend on other countries. That is the general meaning. But in the present context, the meaning is this is India and we need to be a net exporter. That doesn't mean that we no need to import. Okay, that doesn't mean that we no need to import. We need to import, but our exports must become so competitive to our imports. And we must strengthen our own domestic production capabilities, and we must produce in a cost effective manner. We must reach to a position where we can export to the other countries. We will try to reduce depending on import. Suppose if something is not available, something which is not produced, and for the domestic it will take a lot of cost that is involving to produce that, definitely we need to import those items. But you need to strengthen your domestic economy in such a manner that it must provide competition to the imports, and when we provide the competition to the import and when we become the cheaper, definitely we will stop importing these goods. So it is not all something about stopping imports, it is only increasing our export and make sure that your country is self-reliant. This is what the meaning of Atmanirbharata, and we need to link ourselves with the global. But as a net exporter we need to. When I say net exporter, that means you need to import also. But your export must be very high and your domestic economy must reach to such a position. So this is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And when it comes to manufacturing capabilities and enhancing exports, when it comes to this manufacturing capabilities and enhancing exports, okay, anyway Atmanirbharata is a new slogan, though it was given in the 1960s and 70s when Indira Gandhi was the prime minister, but the meaning of Atmanirbharata at that time it is different. But anyhow, now it is different. At that time it is completely isolation from the world affairs, but now it is completely a new integration with the world affairs and allowing the multilateralism. But when it comes to these manufacturing capabilities and enhancing the exports, we have brought lot of schemes. See, in the 1991 itself we have liberalized, and our main motto is we need to improve our production capacities and increase the exports. And after that, when it comes to the specific details of manufacturing sector, we have started SEZs, which is again related to manufacturing capabilities and even enhancing exports, and even we have brought lot of schemes like ties on the front of export promotion, and also we have started NIMZs for manufacturing thing. And next, when it comes to the Make in India, so this is also about this increasing the manufacturing capabilities and enhancing the exports. So these schemes were already started and some schemes are running. Then why it has necessitated for the government of India to again go for a PLI scheme? And what is the difference between this PLI scheme and also with the existing schemes? You need to differentiate these two, otherwise you don't understand. Okay, so now before I getting into this PLI scheme and the difference between the existing scheme and PLI scheme, just I will give you some figures. Anyway, you are aware about some of the figures, but still I want to give some information on this. See, you know what is the manufacturing share in GDP or GVA? Just I will show the graph here so that you can understand. From financial year 2012 to financial year 21 that I have taken, mining, manufacturing, electricity, construction, industry. So that means it is considered as the complete secondary sector, which includes construction activity also. Now if you observe the manufacturing, manufacturing, and manufacturing here is this one. So 17.4, it is again GVA, it is not GDP, that means taxes are removed out of this. 17.4, 17.1, 16.5, 16.3, 16.7, 15.1, 14. Okay, because of this is a coronavirus pandemic time, then I can understand this 14.5. But on average, we are maintaining 16% of the GVA. Maybe to some extent it will go up to max up to 17, okay, of the GDP. So that means our manufacturing contribution to the GVA is around 16%. And in Make in India program also we said like we need to bring it up to the 25% of the GDP, but we are unable to reach it. Okay, and our main motto is to bring this GDP to the manufacturing share in the GDP 25%. And this sector is also having a capability to provide lot of employment. Again, you need to export these items so that you will be the next net exporter and you can earn the good amount of foreign exchange reserves. This is one. Anyway, this you are aware. Second one is, now if you observe the global manufacturing hubs, or I can say global industrial hubs. So earlier some countries used to be called it as global industrial hubs, like the case of China. Now the investments are moving out of China because of their labor shortage and also increase in labor wages. Because of their labor shortages and also increasing the wages of the labor, the industrialists want to shift their bases from the China. Now India must be in a position to attract those investment. When it is possible, if you make a suitable or if you make a favorable policies, then only it is possible to attract. So this scheme is going to provide some favorable environment for these industrial sector, and we are implementing in related to this industrial activity, mostly manufacturing items. So this is one reason and this is second reason. Now what we are going to do, because all the schemes that we have discussed, that whatever the SEZ scheme or NIMZ scheme or Make in India anything, in this government has to invest some amount of money for attracting the investments. Like what type of investment government will wait? Government has to create infrastructure, government had to give some sort of tax subsidy, and government has to give some sort of the benefits at the initial level. That means suppose if they want to acquire the land and you need to provide, suppose they want to acquire the land, then you need to give the land if you have the land bank with you, or they wanted some connection, you need to provide that. Sometimes if private people don't come, with the involvement of the government itself you can start. So the government which investing in these projects is actually most of the time it is making input cost. So when government is making this input investment, it is difficult for the government to make sustained investment in capital intensive sector as they have long gestation period. So governmental capability in investing as an input is very less. That too, it will take lot of time to get the benefit out of that, and government don't have such amount of input also. Now what the government is doing is, you please come, you invest in my country and you show me certain output. If you show certain output, I will give you cash incentive. So you take the burden and we are not coming to you, we are not providing, but whatever the necessary infra we will provide. When it comes to the establishment, we don't give any input thing. You please come and you invest and you export, you enhance your capabilities, you create employment and you will show me the output. Once you show me the output, I will provide the subsidy to you at the incremental level. That means today you have produced 10, tomorrow you have produced, let it be 40, next day it is 70, next day it is 100, next day it is 150. Like this incremental increase in output, we are going to give you some amount of subsidy, some amount of cash incentive to you. So your incentives are based on the incremental production. So this is what production linked incentive scheme. It is not something like government is investing in the initial stage itself, but here the government is giving free hand to the private people. You can come and you can invest, but if you show the output, then I will only provide the subsidies, or it's not like a subsidy, it's a cash incentive. So this is a major shift that happens prior and after this PLI scheme, that you need to understand. So it is something based on incremental output, so it is more effective. It is an output oriented scheme, not an input oriented scheme. Okay, and once you understand the difference between the new PLI and the other schemes, now I am getting into what exactly the PLI and what were the objectives that were mentioned in the PLI. Actually the objectives, I will write some of the objectives, later I will getting into when this scheme was started and what are the sectors. Okay, first one is, you need to make Indian manufacturers globally competitive. So that means you must incentivize the domestic investors to take the benefit from the government and try to innovate the things and try to compete with the global thing, compete with the global production levels. So that is the first point, that is the first objective that they have mentioned here. Second one, attracting the investments. So which investment? Both domestic and foreign. Okay, both domestic and foreign, attracting the investments. In which area you need to attract the investments? In the areas of core competency and cutting edge technology, then only you can be globally competitive. If you don't bring that competencies, if you don't bring the technologies, then you cannot be a competitive. So you need to attract the investment. That means for both domestic and as well as the foreign investors. Next, efficiency, to improve the efficiency in our processes, because I told you like it is a incremental output based incentive. Now you need to improve the output. How can you improve the output? When you improve your efficiency only you can improve the output. So that is why one of the objective is to improve the efficiency, and again enhance the exports. So you need to cater the domestic needs and also you need to allow the exports, and you need to produce competitive goods, otherwise you cannot export it. You need to provide competitive goods. Next, make India an integral part of global value chain. So what is the meaning of this global value chain? In the global, there are some products are there. Some products may completely produced in one country, but some of the components will be produced in country and they will go to another country. There they will use some more value addition to that, and after that they will go for some other country and they will add some more addition, some more addition, some more addition. Finally, it will become a final product in some other country. Or when this is happening, they will receive some of the inputs from other countries also. Take the case of normal bike. Don't expect that all the components of the bike will be produced in one country. No, some of the nuts will be in some country, bolts will be in another country, and also washers will be in another country, tires will be in another country, tank will be in another country, pistons will be in another country. Maybe it's all depending on, because maybe because the metal you used for piston is different from that of the nut and bolt, and the design involved in that is different from that of other, and when it comes to the rubber it is completely different. So that means the value addition is happening at the global level, and finally it has reaching to a final product stage, and India should also contribute to that value chain. Maybe we are supplying a finished goods, or maybe we are supplying some of the raw materials. Raw material in the sense, it's not exactly the ore and other aspects, but some of the individual components. So like that is the one of the motto, we wanted to become the leading partner of the global value chain. Next, create and nurture global champions. That means we need to create some of the global champion industries, some big industries. So you need to create and also you need to nurture, and apart from that you need to provide the jobs. How you will provide the jobs? Manufacturing sector will definitely create lot of jobs compared to that of services sector. But if at all you want to be an efficient, if at all you are using the cutting edge technology, somewhere you can reduce your labor force or the employees. But here in creating the jobs, there are various aspects are there. Some are labor intensive sector, though you are using the machinery, but you need labor. In some sectors, I will come to that what are those sectors, like food processing and textile and apparel things, they are labor intensive sector. Some of the sectors will create the logistic jobs. That means maybe it may not create the enough employment in the unit itself, but because you need to bring and take some of the materials, and in that process it may create lot of logistics jobs. That means in the transportation of that goods. And some of the companies may provide the jobs with the backward linkages, which includes MSMEs. So that means some of the industries need supply of some of the materials and which can be taken from the MSMEs, so that this creating big industries will also boost for the creation of some more MSMEs, and it creates employment in MSMEs. So providing jobs means, it doesn't mean that okay, the installment or the establishment itself will provide the jobs. No, it can provide in the company itself, or it can provide through the logistics, or it can provide through creation of backward linkages, like the case of MSMEs. Okay. So once you understand these objectives, and once you understand the difference between the earlier schemes and these schemes, and once you understand why it is relevant today, because you need jobs, you need to be competitive in the exports, and you need to attract the investment, something moving out of China, and you need to devise a new plan, and ultimately you need to make Atmanirbhar Bharat. So that is the reason why they have brought this scheme. Now I will show you what is that scheme. This is the governmental information from the PIB, and if at all you want any information, you just go to the PIB and take the information from PIB, because PIB is a highly authenticated source, because the government itself will place this information. And here government in the budget they have announced like, okay, we are giving PLI schemes to 13 sector to the extent of 1.97 lakh crore for 5 years. I will explain what is that 1.97 lakh crore for 5 years. But when it comes to the 13 sectors, initially government has announced for 3 sectors, and later they have extended it to another 10 sectors. Total it has become 13 sectors. Okay, the final this, I think this was made in the month of during that lockdown period, but the final adding of the 10 more sectors is happened on 11th November 2020. Okay, so now I'll explain you what are the different sectors that have taken initially. Initially we have taken three sectors: mobile manufacturing and specified electronic component, and critical key starting materials or drugs, intermediaries and active pharmaceutical ingredients, and manufacturing of medical devices. If you take the case of the first one, mobile manufacturing and specified electronic components, 40,951 crores, and again it is implemented by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. These schemes are not implemented by one ministry. This is a fact you need to understand. Various ministries will implement this scheme, and who will provide the budget? It is the government will provide, but implemented by various ministries. Okay, and in this 40,951 crores implemented by this ministry, concerned ministry. When it comes to these materials or starting of materials or drugs, and also APIs, active pharma ingredients, this API is nothing but bulk drugs, and these things are the raw material for the manufacturing sector, and today almost 70% of the APIs we are importing it from the China because they are cheap. And when it comes to the manufacturing of medical devices, we may be good at producing the vaccines and also some of the generic medicines, but when it comes to the APIs and also these medical devices, we are backward. Okay, we are not that good and we are importing. So that is the reason government focuses on these. Now, what is the significance of this 40,000, 6,940, 3,420? Because if a company comes and if they establishes, and by showing the incremental output, they can get some sort of benefit from this money. Likewise, the government will spend around 40,951 crores of rupees in 5 years in the form of incentives on the basis of incremental production in their output. Okay. So this is what you need to understand. So in the initial stage, when they announced three, the total package worth is 51,311. But in the November, they have added 10 more sectors. I think the heading itself is, I told, India's manufacturing capabilities and enhancing exports and Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay. Now I am coming to the other aspects. What are the 10 industries that were added? Advanced Chemistry Cells Battery, ACC. This is a new battery. It's a new technology, because when we are going for renewable energy, the main problem in this renewable energy is storing of renewable energy, and for that you need to have an advanced battery cells which can be store a huge amount of energy to a maximum extent of time within a cost effective manner. So that is why government is focusing on this, and who will implement it is the Niti Aayog and Department of Heavy Industries. The allocated money is 18,100 crore in 5 years. This entire allocations are for 5 years. That means they are going to get a benefit of this 18,100. Next, electronics technology products. And if you take the case, this is mobile manufacturing and specified electronic component, but this is more on electronic and technology products. Okay, both are not same. Anyway, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, 5,000 crores. Next, automobiles and auto components, Department of Heavy Industries, 57,042 crores. This is the highest allocation. Highest allocation has given to this automobiles and auto components, because if you take the case of some of the industries of automobile things, in the 1980s we were so apprehended, like when this Maruti and Suzuki combination has come, it may devastate entire India's companies, but over a period of time our experience is India has become an assembling hub of these automobiles. Okay, so we have lot of potential in that. So we are giving lot of emphasis on this automobile and auto components, so that at least we can become the manufacturing hub of these components. So that is why they have given highest allocation, this Department of Heavy Industries. Next, pharmaceutical drugs, again they have given 15,000 crore, Department of Pharmaceuticals. Telecom and networking products, Department of Telecom, 12,195. Textile products and technical textiles. Okay, this textile products, Ministry of Textiles, again it is a good thing, labor intensive. Labor, though automobile is something a capital intensive, but automobile industry creates a lot of backward linkages, and at the same time it provide lot of the logistic jobs. Even telecom and networking products also provide lot of the technical jobs which are related to logistics. And next case of food products, yes, Ministry of Food Processing, 10,900 crores, again it provides lot of employment facility, it's a labor intensive sector. High efficiency solar PV modules, because this is very important for the future India, it also provides the jobs, it will allow the more MSMEs to grow, and also provides the logistic jobs. And white goods, ACs and LGDs, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, so it is DPIIT under Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce. Next, specialty steel, Ministry of Steel, 6,322. It is 1,45,980. This 1,45,980 and that 51,000 and that 51,300 total runs into around 1.97 lakh crore. That is what exactly we are going to get. So, and when they are focusing here, again they are clearly mentioned like what are the different things that we can focus. If it is a chemical cells, okay, it's ACC batteries. And electronic and technology products, they are focusing on semiconductor fab, display fab, laptop, servers, IoT devices, specific computer hardware. Automobile is automobile. When it comes to the pharmaceutical, they have lot of categories. First category is bio pharmaceuticals, complex generic drugs, patent drugs, cell based or gene based therapy products, orphan drugs, special empty capsules, complex excipients. And again category 2, active pharma ingredients. Category 3 is repurposed drugs, and they have given lot of information. Okay, when it comes to the telecom, yes, core transmission equipment, 4G, 5G, next generation road access, and enterprise equipment, switches, routers. Okay, they have given that information. Even they have given to this textiles, it's man-made fiber segment and technical textiles. See, these are two important aspects. Man-made fiber means whatever we are using it for our own regular usage, like wearing or some house decoration or any other thing. But when it comes to the textile technical textiles, technical textiles will be used only for technical application, maybe for this soldering purpose or sleeve purpose, or if you are using for medicinal purpose or laying the roads you will use, or in electronics we will use, or even this medicinal usages also will use. Even ISRO, when you see when they are sending the satellites and other things, they will use a different type of textiles. So those are technical textiles, and they are focusing on two aspects. One is man-made and second one is textile. When it comes to the food processing, yes, ready to eat, ready to cook, marine products, fruits and vegetables, honey, desi ghee, cheese and organic eggs and poultry meat. So on this they are focusing. And when it comes to the white goods, okay, air conditioners and LED. When it comes to steel products, okay, it is a coated steel, high strength steel, steel rails, alloy steel bars and rods. So on these aspects, Government of India is going to provide the incentives to the investors who are investing and showing enough amount of output. And if you show the enough amount of output, you will get the benefit. So this is one of a new thought that has evolved over a period of time, because initially we used to think in a different manner, but now we have moved from input to output base. Again, you may get a question like PLI scheme is implemented by. So it is not implemented by a single ministry or single agency. It is a cabinet decision. Every individual department has to take a decision. And now whatever here we have mentioned here, each and every ministry, I think telecom ministry has already came with the notification. Each and every ministry has to give a detailed notification according to the cabinet note, like which are the industries we are going to consider, and what manner we will consider, what is the level of investment you must bring, what is the level of technology you must use, and what are the targets that we are fixing it, how much amount of employment generation incrementally you need to add, how much amount of exports that you need to add. Now the people will get a question, and see, individual ministry has to devise in that manner. Now the point is, some people may think like prior to 1990 government is not intervened in this entire production process, but now the government has started intervening into these matters. Does it really good? Is it really a governmental intervention? It is a governmental intervention, but it is a positive governmental intervention. That you need to understand. This is an intervention, but this intervention is something the positive intervention. Okay, a negative intervention is something bad, but it is positive intervention, because the point is why we are focusing on these sector means, as I already told you, the GDP and other figures, but today we are having this benefit of demographic dividend. Demographic dividend, that means lot of working population is there in India, and we are going to maintain such a level of population for next 1.5 decade. Now we are not supposed to misuse this opportunity, we are not supposed to lose this opportunity. So perhaps it is the time to focus on these sectors, and anyhow when it comes to the services sector, we are the net exporters and the world level technology we are using it. So there is no problem in services sector, but in the manufacturing sector somewhere we are lagging. So that is the reason why we need to attract the investors with different model. And if I started PLI scheme, that doesn't mean that the earlier schemes were stopped. No, the earlier schemes are also going to continue, but the targets fixed under the earlier scheme is different that of the present scheme. It is something about output based, so the targets will be something different here, and the similar amount of schemes are going to run, and some of the schemes may be targeted the processes. Suppose if you take the case of Make in India program, under Make in India you don't have any specific allocations like these what we are mentioning for the PLI scheme, but it is the reforming of processes. Make in India. Take the case of economic zones, special economic zones. Here, okay, you will provide the land at a cheaper rate and you will give some sort of the tax benefits, and that means here physically government is providing some benefits. If you take the case of NIMZ, again it is the government has to do everything, but these are the different models, and all the models led to the same target, like increasing the manufacturing output, providing the jobs, be competitive and whatever the thing. So in that manner we need to improve our entire growth rate, our GDP. So that is going to help a lot. So that is the reason why finance minister, without much elaborating in the budget, because that elaboration has already done prior to the presentation of the budget. So this is one of the most important scheme, because you may get a question like how they are going to perform and what is PLI and how it is different. What are the sectors that were targeted under PLI? So you may get prelims question and mains questions. You may get a both prelims and mains question from this scheme. Okay, and yeah, that's it about this. Thank you.